hope we're all knitting in the new year. And while we're waiting for the ball to drop, I thought it might be fun to take just a few minutes and show you what I was working on in Times Square. This is a slip stitch knitted pattern, and it looks a lot like a woven twill fabric, but it's easily knitted by just slipping a few stitches and knitting the other stitches. So I want to just show you that real quick. You can see right here we have taken these floats, and these floats are running to the front of the fabric. And you can see I'm going to go under a bunch of these floats at once, and you can see they're running at a beautiful diagonal right down the fabric. You can see a bunch of those running here and here and here. So we are just going to create those floats with a slip stitch. So I have knitted on here 67 stitches. The first 3 stitches right there and the last 3 stitches are just a little garter stitch edging. So I'm going to always keep the first 3 and the last 3 stitches in knit on both sides. Now I'm a continental knitter, and one of our challenges is to try this, or if you are already a continental knitter, the challenge is to try English knitting. So I just knitted the first 3 stitches right here. And knitting these first 3 stitches, I am now going to determine where I want to get the next carry or the next float to the front of my work. So as you can see, it moves over 1 column every right side row. So the float is right here, and then it moves over 1 column to right there, and then it moves over 1 column to right here, and then 1 column to right there. So I want the next one to move over and cover this column right here. So these 2 stitches are going to be slipped. These 2 are knitted, and that means this one is also going to be slipped. So I'm going to just move the yarn to the front and slip it as if to purl, and then move the yarn to the back, and I'm going to knit these 2 stitches, move the yarn to the front and slip these next 2 as if to purl, and move it to the back. And again, you want to see that it has moved over from this column to this column, and it has done that very nicely. So we know we're on target for our pattern. So the pattern is basically a knit 2 and slip 2, and you can do those at once. Knit 2 and slip 2. Make sure the yarn's in the front so you can see those floats, and that is what gives you that twill pattern. You want to make sure you don't pull those floats tight. I could pull them really tight for my next stitch, and you see how that all bunches up. We don't want it bunched up like that. We want it to be loose and just lay very nicely across the front of our work. Regularly read your knitting. Make sure you're on target. You didn't slip the wrong ones or knit something you should not have. Just be looking, and you can see that the pattern continues, moving over 1 knit column each time. I slip 2, so now I'm going to knit 2, slip 2, knit 2, I'm going to intentionally, accidentally leave my yarn to the back and slip them that way, because I want to show you how you can easily fix that if that happens to you. Now as I get to the end, because we're sliding that twill pattern one column to the left, it's very possible that we're not going to have a correct number to finish at the end. So these last 3 need to be knitted. And I slipped these 2 here, knitted these 2, but I do in fact have an even number to work at the end. And then I'm just going to knit these last 3. All right, let me flip it over. And we'll go back the other way. So I'm going to knit the first 3 and the last 3, and then the rest of these I am just going to purl right across the back of the work. As I do this, I am going to be looking for mistakes. I want to make sure that I did not accidentally leave my floats to the rear or to the back of my work. So I'm going to be looking for errant floats, making sure I didn't do that. And I am seeing one coming up right here. Do you see this float right here? This should not be here. This is a mistake. So I am going to fix this mistake very easily. I'm going to put my needle underneath and flip it to the front of the work. And I'm going to just slip those 2 stitches and then drop it off and put them back. And now that carry is on the correct side of the work right there. And I am just going to go ahead and purl. So that is a really easy fix. Definitely not a crisis and no reason to rip out. I am using a Hobby Lobby yarn called Spinnies in ivory. It's a size 3 yarn. It's a very light size 3 yarn. I would really almost call this kind of a thicker fingering weight. It's really light. And so that's what's requiring size 3 needles or 3 1/4 millimeters. And 67 stitches. So I'm coming to the end. I have 3 stitches left, which I'm going to knit. And we're ready to start again. Make sure the yarn goes under into the back, and now I'm going to redo my pattern. I'm going to see where am I. That's my first float, and I want to move it over 1 more. Now this float is a short one. This was only across 1 stitch, and I want it across 2. So I'm still going to slip the first stitch, but I'm also going to slip the second one, and then I'm going to knit 2, and I'm going to slip 2, and I'm just going to check to make sure that it did in fact move over, and you can see it's moving over very nicely. So we're knowing we're right on target with our pattern, and we'll just keep our eye on that sliding twill. This is a really easy pattern to do. So I hope that helps, and as we ring in the new year, I'm going to get out my glasses and get ready for 2026 and a great time with the Knitting Passport challenge game.